Today I'm in Jesmond, Dene, Newcastle's most unique and exotic area. It's like a jungle. In fact, you wouldn't even think you're in Newcastle. And I'm here today with me two dogs, Lily and Setu. That's why I'm carrying a fanny pack. And we're going to explore the whole of Jesmond, Dene, or most of it, and unravel some of its mysteries. Jesmond, Dene is a 3-kilometre long steep wooded valley located just a couple of miles northeast of Newcastle city centre. Carved out by the Ousburn River, the landscape is a mix of dense woodland, rocky crags and meandering pathways that follow the natural contours of the land. It's part of a larger green corridor that stretches from the town moor all the way to the River Tyne. The Dene is home to a wide variety of native and exotic trees, native wildlife from red squirrels and kingfishers to bats and badgers. Its microclimate and sheltered terrain make it unusually lush for an urban area, giving it that almost hidden, secretive quality. Historically, the name derives from the medieval term Jesus Mound or Jesus Mond, referring to a possible site or shrine dedicated to the worship of Jesus. Jesmond Dene literally means the wooded valley at Jesmond. It was later shaped by 19th century Geordie industrialist and inventor Lord William Armstrong, famous for inventing modern artillery, shipbuilding at the Elsick Works on the Tyne, the Swing Bridge, the Armstrong gun, amongst other accomplishments. He landscaped much of the valley during the 1860s and later gifted it to the public of Newcastle in 1883. What began as a private Victorian pleasure ground is now a public park with layered heritage, including old mill ruins, ornamental bridges and formal gardens. So where I'm stood now is probably what you would consider to be the northern tip of Jesmond Dene, and behind me here is a beautiful, massive building. It's called Jesmond Dene House. It's packed full of interesting history, but when was it built, why, and what's it for? Jesmond Dene House started life in 1822, designed by John Dobson as a Georgian-style residence for Dr. T.E. Headlam. In 1851, Dobson remodelled it again for industrialist William Cruddas. Its most significant chapter began in 1871 when Captain Andrew Noble, partner to Lord Armstrong, expanded the house with arts and crafts flair, adding a great hall, Gothic porch, billiard room, elaborate chimneys, stained glass windows and more bedrooms. Following Noble's widow's death in 1929, the house served varied roles: a college, World War II Civil Defence Centre, with surviving tunnels apparently, seminary and a school. In 2005 it re-emerged as Newcastle's first independently owned boutique hotel, preserving its Grade II arts and crafts charm, popular today for functions and weddings. Just north of Jesmond Dene is a big hospital called the Freeman Hospital, and many of you watching this have either been to the Freeman Hospital or have heard of it. But why is it called the Freeman? Well, in order to reveal that little secret, we need to go onto the top of the Dene where I can explain it a little bit better. This huge area that I'm in now, just northeast of the top of Jesmond Dene, is called Paddy Freeman's Park. Truth be known, I've never been to this park before, or this area, and it's stunning. It's got a massive field area over there, but it's got a lake behind us here, a children's play area, but also Urban Green has its own cafe just over there, and I'm going to get myself a coffee. But Paddy Freeman, who is he? Patrick Paddy Freeman was a miller and a farmer who, along with his family, played a significant role in the history of Jesmond and Heaton in Newcastle. The Freeman family, originally from Gateshead, leased and operated Jesmond Old Mill from the late 18th century, initially grounding corn and later processing flint. Their farm, including a duck pond that eventually became Paddy Freeman's Lake, was located in High Heaton. The family's presence in the area is still commemorated through Freeman Road, Paddy Freeman's Park of course, and the Freeman Hospital. I love to hear stories like that. It's fascinating. A Gateshead lad from the Windmills area, basically the top of Bensham Bank looking down at the River Tyne, comes across to Newcastle in 1795, builds a mill and farming empire here, passed on through the generations, and when it eventually does all fold up, the building name a park after the Freeman family and of course the Freeman Hospital. And it's a reminder of how close Newcastle and Gateshead are, not just geographically separated by the river, but historically and culturally. We share so much together, particularly through the Industrial Revolution of the coal mining and the heavy industry and the shipbuilding and working on the Tyne. We worked together, we sweated together, we bled together, we died together, we married each other. And I think it's really important to remember that Newcastle and Gateshead and the whole of Tyneside, who have got similar backgrounds, that we're all proud working class Geordies. One of the most popular attractions here at Jesmond Dene is this waterfall behind me. But is it a natural waterfall or is it man-made? Well, Lord Armstrong created many water features throughout Jesmond Dene as part of his landscaping. His biggest project was the creation of this particular waterfall and the deep gorge further downstream. Explosives were used to blast out the rock and the stone was used to build up the sides of the waterfall. Still operating today are these public toilets here in Jesmond Dene, but they're only open at certain times and they're closed at the minute, and I'm desperate for a gentleman's powder break. This really is a special environment to be in, and I should make an effort to come here more often because it's complete escapism. Really, you wouldn't think that the city centre was a mile and a half or so just over there. It's incredible. I wish I could name the trees, I wish I was an expert in these things, but I'm not. But it's very popular, and there's joggers and dog walkers and cyclists, tourists, everybody's chilled and smiling. It's just a really pleasant environment to be in. Another great feature here at Jesmond Dene is Pets Corner, where you can come and have a wander around, particularly great for the families to see chickens and rabbits and goats and mini pigs. But it wasn't always kind of a family-friendly Pets Corner like it is today. Back in the early 20th century, this was Jesmond Dene Zoo, and they had more exotic animals in here like monkeys and brown bears. Behind me here is the Ousbourne Park Visitor Centre. I'm going to pop in a second, get myself a sandwich, and directly opposite, I don't know if we can see, but there's a picnic area just behind with some benches, so I'm going to take a bit of a break. Right, just got myself a ham and peas pudding stotty, a bit on the small side I have to say, a couple of sausages for the dogs and a cup of latte, which I'm really ready for. But what a fantastic setting this with the picnic benches. This is my happy place, this, not specifically here, but just this sort of environment and the peace and quiet, surrounded by nature and trees. Oh, my two dogs, Lily and Setu, having fun. This is just, it just doesn't, for me, life just doesn't get any better than this. Being free on a day like this, to come to a place like this, and just take in the fresh air. This big iron bridge behind me here, which spans Jesmond Dene, is called Armstrong Bridge. Armstrong Bridge was designed by William Armstrong and built at his Elsick Works on the Tyne. It has a span of 168 metres. It took 2 years to build and was opened in 1878 at a cost of £30,000. When it was finished, Armstrong gave it to the people of Newcastle along with the park. It was used by pedestrians, horses and later cars. Legend has it that Lady Armstrong wanted the bridge built to make life easier for the horses pulling heavy loads up the sides of the valley. As the bridge stands on land mined for coal, Armstrong designed it so that it would adjust itself if the ground below moved. It was the first bridge in the world able to do this. Cutting through Jesmond Dene almost at the halfway point is the main trunk road, the 1058, or the Coast Road. So now I've crossed that where Armstrong Bridge is, and we are now in the southern half of Jesmond Dene. Behind me here, just on the other side of the Ousbourne, there are 2 or 3 volunteer groups removing an invasive species called Himalayan balsam, and the volunteer groups are the Sage Foundation and Tyne Rivers Trust, and there's another one, forgive us, but I forgot, but they're all busy beavering away, pulling that Himalayan balsam, not sure, out of the ground, so to try and prevent it from spreading any further. So as I just finished filming that little clip while I was still there, a lady walked past with a dog and she went, "Oh no, what they're doing." I said, "Oh, the volunteer groups are clearing away an invasive species." She says, "I know what it is." She says, "They should just leave it." She says, "I was going to harvest that later on. It's food." Well, you can't please everybody, I suppose. What are your thoughts on this, if you know a thing or two about invasive species? Should it be left alone, or should it be ripped out the ground? So there's not a lot going on in the southern end of Jesmond Dene. There's some allotments, a little housing complex. It looks a little bit run down in parts, but what there is here at the southern end is a very popular bar around these parts in Jesmond, and that's the Blue Bell. So I'm going to check it out. What the hell? I'm going to have a pint. Oh, I'm ready for this, man. A lovely warm day. It's about 2 o'clock, and I love on a hot day when I've been out for a bit of a walk, pint of cold cider. Oh man, that's delicious. The food looks good as well. A couple over there. Had a couple of meals brought over there just a couple of minutes ago, and it did look nice. I feel a bit gutted that I had that ham and peas pudding sandwich earlier on, because I could have been tempted to have some lunch here. But lovely big beer garden here. Yeah, I bet you this is absolutely rammed on weekends. I know it's very popular. Well, anyway, I'm going to finish my pint and crack on. Right, we're nearing the end of Jesmond Dene now. It's just another 5-minute walk down there. And you'll come across on the other side of the Ousburn there, this kind of a, I don't know what it is, like an art installation or the back of somebody's garage or an allotment. It's called St Christopher's Lookout. It's got dummies in there. It's got a little fixed dining table on the little ledge there. And I've got no idea what it is. I can't find anything on the internet. If you know, if you're from here, you know more than me, what is that? Behind me here, I'm not sure if you can see or not, is the end of what you would say is Jesmond Dene at Jesmond Vale. And this is where the Ousburn River, the burn, disappears kind of underground in that concrete structure called a culvert. And that culvert goes underground for about 700 metres, nearly half a mile. The whole structure is about 30 feet wide and 20 feet high. It was built between 1907 and 1911. And for the next 5 decades or so, till about the 1960s, landfill was put on top of it because the plan was to build housing and I think a road over the top of it, but that never quite happened. Roughly at the halfway point of that 700-metre culvert, we arrive here in an area called the City Stadium. And it was built, for want of a better word, in the 1960s, because it was going to be, there were plans for it to be an actual stadium, but it never quite transpired. I might do a separate video on that altogether, but the culvert runs directly underneath the City Stadium down to Ousburn. Now I'd guess that the culvert, the Ousburn, is probably 15 to 20 metres underneath here. So go back 120 years. This land that I'm stood on, that I'm walking across, never actually existed. This was a deep, well, part of the Dene, a deep valley that ran right down through Ousburn and plops out, obviously, into the River Tyne. During World War II, part of the culvert, I think accessed from the Ousburn end, was actually a World War II air raid shelter, and it held up to 3,000 people. And I think, by all accounts, it was a better air raid shelter that was being used by the old Victoria Tunnel. And up until a couple, 2 or 3 decades ago, a section of that shelter was being used by ravers. Used to get into the culvert and used to obviously drink and party all night. I don't think, and I might be wrong, that you can get access through the culvert from the Ousburn farm side, because I think it's been concreted off. But some of you out there might know a little bit different to me if you've actually been in underneath recently. You do get a sense of how high that landfill went when you come down the other side into Ousburn under the bridges here. Yeah, so it must be 15 to 20 metres high. And at the other end, when you come out, you're going to see this Ousburn culvert bandstand. It was erected, I'm not sure when, to commemorate the culvert. And it's quite a popular gathering spot now for kids, obviously. And where I am walking now, just directly behind me, behind this wall, is where the culvert ends. And it's the Ousburn is exposed to the skies again. I've finished, I'm in Ousburn now. I didn't mean to come this far, this extra half mile or so, but I thought since the Ousburn culvert started in Jesmond, Dene, I might as well have just finished it here and talked a little bit more about it and how far it's stretched, etc. If you want to know more about Ousburn, the bridges, etc., and Victoria Tunnel, I've done 3 or 4 videos on Ousburn itself, and I'm actually right next to Ousburn Farm, community farm. Check those videos out. I've done them 2-3 years ago. They're in a playlist, so they won't be too hard to find. There's some fantastic and interesting historical facts about the place. So I hope you enjoyed this video about Jesmond, Dene. If you've never visited before, you need to go there. It is absolutely fantastic. And if you have been there, and particularly if you've been there a lot and you know more than me, of course I haven't covered everything. There'll be all sorts of little nuggets of interesting information. Don't be shy. Drop them in the comments below. Let us all know about it. Let me know about your experiences of Jesmond, Dene. And I look forward to reading them. So yes, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and the bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video. And for those of you who don't know, it's free. I'm going to head down into Ousburn, probably the Tyne Bar for another pint before I head off home. I'll catch you later.